Hello and welcome. Welcome everyone. My name is Chaima Lilo. I'm the content strategist here in Labasad. We are delighted to have you join us for today Labasad's Masterclass. On this occasion, we have invited Erik Kessels, artist, curator, and communication designer, to present his session, Storytelling with Found Photography. Erik is also an instructor in our online master in new documentary photography, where he shares his expertise with our students. Before we begin, let me share a bit about how that session will work. At the end of the presentation, we will have a Q&A. Feel free to turn your camera on and microphone, or if you want, just leave your questions in the chat and we will answer them. But first, I would like to take a moment to introduce you Labasad and what makes our learning experience unique. At Labasad, we are proud to be the only exclusively online design school that offers a 100% live format. This approach creates an immersive and interactive experience, making online learning as engaging as in-person classroom. To give you a clearer picture of our impact, here are some key statistics about Labasad. 94% of students recommend us. More than 4,000 students have studied with us for now. More than 250 instructors, all of them professionals actively working in their fields. And our global community includes students from around the world, more than 54 countries, including Germany, the United States, Spain, Italy, and many more. Labasad's reputation extends beyond our students. We have been featured in Creative Boom, in It's Nice That, and one of the things that sets Labasad apart is our dedication to supporting students beyond the classrooms. Our programs offer opportunities for international recognition. For example, Vanessa Garcia, here in the screen, a student of the Online Master in Strategic Packaging Design, received global acclaim at the Pentawards 2024 in London, winning gold and food and silver in luxury goods. So, why study at Labasad? Here are a few reasons. Our faculty consists of professionals from around the globe who bring real-world experience directly to the classroom. We give our students throughout their learning journey, ensuring they always feel connected and supported all the time. Beyond the curriculum, students also have access to different opportunities such as masterclasses, workshops, networking, participation in awards, and many more advantages. If all the previous information about us resonates with you and you're considering taking the next step in your career, now is the perfect time. The application period of our master's program is now open, with classes starting in May 2025. And for more details, please feel free to contact us at info@labasad.com. And you can also contact us via phone or follow us on social media, where we are sharing everything we do and the latest news and opportunities we have. Now I will hand over to Tonia Mengual and Fiorenza Pina, the co-directors of the Online Master in New Documentary Photography, where Erik Kessels is an instructor. And they will provide a brief overview of the program and introduce you to today's distinguished guest. Please, Tony and Fiorenza.
Hello, I'm Fiorenza Pinna, and I don't know if Tony is here, but it's okay. We are always open to, no problem. We are too. So good evening, everyone, and thank you for Chaima for the introduction to the school, and thank you, Erik, for accept our invitation. It's a good pleasure for us to having you tonight. And just a few words to introduce you to our master. It's the first edition of this online master in new documentary photography. And I'm really happy that Erik is here, because it's really the best person to introduce to this to our vision for this master. Documentary photography is evolving and it's expanding language, and this is the reason why we started designing a new program. And we thought that we need a program that is really working with this new idea of documentary photography, that is questioning a lot its rule, and is finding new way to engage with reality and also with new way of storytelling. This program is designed for is designed for visual artists and for students that journalists, photographer, or creative professional that want to go in depth the study of new documentary photography, and is completely space for experimentation, because it's completely, our approach is completely hands-on. It's completely learn by doing, and so the program is a space to work together and collaboratively with a group of people from around the world, and with international renewed photographer, visual artist, and curator, industry professors such Erik or Max Pinkers or Laia Brie or me and Tony, and many other artists and curators that are part of the team. What else to say is the idea is that photography is not just about taking picture, but it's a way to make sense of the world, and it's more than telling story, but it's about having something to say. And we want to explore how documentary photography intersect with journalism, new way of storytelling, and also conceptual research, and pushing the boundaries with the use of any kind of material like text, archive, found images, but also AI and new media. And we are much interested in the idea of creating projects. So every student and every attendant is going to create, making a lot of exercise, and also creating a personal project. But also we are going to work a lot on the idea of sharing, helping students to present their work, navigate exhibition, publication, and build a portfolio or be ready to present themselves. That's what also Erik is going to take care in our program. So we are really happy that Erik is here with this, because it's the best person embodies all this vision. It's a creator, a storyteller, a curator, a creative director, and a publisher that has completely revolutionized how we think about photography and the way we can use photography to completely say something completely new with some picture. That's probably what is going to talk about today. So welcome, Erik. Welcome, everybody. I don't know if it's Tony here and want
I'm here. Yeah, I'm
Sorry,
here.
I
I was
didn't
having some
see you.
problems with the audio,
So
but I'm in.
welcome.
So yeah, it's a great pleasure to introduce this masterclass. Be short, but well, Erik Kessels has been a visionary and in the world photography, design, and visual storytelling. And as you know, many of you know, he's not only the co-founder of Kessels Kramers, one of the most innovative creative agencies in Europe, but he's also prolific, as Fiore said, artist, curator, collector, and is constantly doing challenging the conventions of narrative in photography, which is something that we are really looking for in these new masters that we are presenting. And very happy to announce that Erik will be part of our faculty, and we think we are 100,000% sure that he's the perfect profile for that. And let me explain you why. Because in an era where documentary photography is undergoing rapid transformation, expanding beyond traditional notions of truth-telling and objectivity, Kessel's works provide us with a fresh perspective on how images construct meaning. His approach subverts the standard role of the documentary photographer as a mere observer of reality. Instead, he engages with found images, archives, and amateur photography to reveal hidden stories, collective memories, and unexpected beauty in the mundane. One of the most striking aspects of Kessel's work is his ability to show us how vernacular photography, and what is more documentary than vernacular photography, snapshots, family albums, even failed images, can be as powerful, very powerful documents in reflecting social histories and personal narratives. This approach resonates deeply with the current shifts in documentary practice, where boundaries between journalism and concept photography are increasingly fluid. And at a time when image manipulation, digital archives, and algorithm driven curation are defining the way we experience photography, Kessels reminds us that the storytelling is not just about capturing reality, it's about reshaping and reinterpreting it. And something I'm a very fan of Kessel's work, and I think he's an artist, but also is a documentarian. I'm not sure if saying a documentary photographer, but a documentarian, because he knows how to make us think about our realities and our world, and it's something I really appreciate and I really admire of his work. And also he has all the knowledge of how to been working in advertising, how to promote whatever. But in this case, we want him to teach us how to promote our own work and how to make our stories and our images to be seen. And that's the part he will be teaching or yeah, doing the instruction in this master. So thank you very much, Erik, for accepting our proposal, and thank you very much for being here today. And I'll let you the word, and let's enjoy.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thanks for your kind words, Fiorenza and Tony. Yeah, let me see. Share files, is it, or share camera?
Share files.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
Yes. Okay, can you see this, or? Yeah? Is it on?
No, we can't.
Not yet.
Okay, maybe I need to add. Oh, yesterday it worked. One moment. Yeah, because your presentation is still in, so in the main room.
It should be
Let me check,
down like
please.
verse 2.
Yeah.
Just click on the compartir share application or screen. Do you see that option?
But
Share files, share application screen. Yeah. Okay, now I got it. Yeah. Okay. Sorry.
Thank you. Don't worry.
Yes. Now you see it.
Perfect.
Okay. Good evening, everyone. Today I'd like to give you a brief insight in how I work, and also how I work with photography, and in this case tonight with found photography, because as Fiorenza and Tony already said, I mean, my background is more from advertising and communication. So I worked with many photographers in my life, and that was for me also not really a motivation to start photographing myself, having worked with all these very special photographers. And so in my case, in a way, my story started, funny enough, in Barcelona. I can't. You can see this image now, or of the book?
Working well.
Yeah. Okay. Perfect. So it started in Barcelona in around 1999, where I on the market in Barcelona, like a flea market, Els Encants, where I found maybe like 400 images of the same woman, being photographed by, most probably her husband. And in my case, yeah, I was there on the market, and I saw some of those slides. They were 6x6 positive slides, and they are they were as a bunch together in a suitcase. Funny enough, it was starting to rain in Barcelona, which is quite rare. But so I kind of picked them up and bought them, and only when I got home, I kind of looked at them very precisely, and I found out that on almost all the images, this woman was portrayed by her husband probably, and it was almost like a amateur photo shoot where I mean, he had very much an eye for her. Also, you see her here in a bathing suit. But on the left of the image, you see that there's somebody drowning in the water. But he was only focused on her, and more bathing suits. And I started to work with this. It was the first time that I had such a kind of a huge amateur collection that at one point I showed them to many friends of mine, and at one point one friend said, like, yeah, maybe you should do something with it and not leave it here in your drawer. And so I started to really select them and put them in order. And then I found out that they really made special occasions. Here they have like they brought a rose for the shoot. But then in the end, I also found out that the longer he photographed her, the smaller she became in the frame. So it was really that over the amount of 12 years, there was really, she was really getting smaller and smaller. And the last picture in the book, there she's almost disappearing into a tree. And for me, this was the first time that I kind of looked at amateur images, and I found a certain narrative and also kind of a strange behavior that people really kind of depart a little bit from each other when they are longer together. This is something that I also later many times found in albums when people are longer together. It's very, in a way, kind of funny, but it also maybe tragical because maybe he has more eye for the surrounding. Maybe she doesn't want to be photographed close up anymore. But anyway, I was kind of curious with this after making a book. So there was the first book in this series I'm doing called In Almost Every Picture. So this was the first book, and I went back to Barcelona to present the book and the work in a gallery there. And also I was curious how if this woman was still alive, and if her husband was still alive, and who they were. So in Spain they really picked it up quite heavily. They called her La Señora X or La Mujer Misteriosa, and they really found it strange that somebody from Holland really was looking for her in Spain. And in the end, there was a woman coming to visiting the gallery. She was in her 70s, and she knew about this woman in the pictures because she worked with La Telefonica, in La Telefonica with her. And the woman in the image was called Josefina Iglesias. She died several years before, and recently her husband died. And that's how they got onto that's how these images got onto our market, because often you see also this couple, they had no children, and so then that's how these images land up there. And I mean, in all the years after, I got more and more interested in this kind of photography, also because working in advertising, for instance, mostly it's all about perfection, and I really hate that. I hated it always, and so I also found really the beauty sometimes in albums of other people where there were also a large amount of imperfections in that album because people had analog photographs and they really didn't want to throw them away even when there was a mistake on there. So I find a lot of these albums on markets all over the world. But sometimes nowadays, this is in almost every picture, book number 17. I mean, I have made now 18 books in this, 19 books in this series. It's very stupid, but they have all the same name, so you have to find out which one is which. But yeah, sometimes nowadays also I receive collections or albums from people that are that know about me or that heard about me, and they donate them, and then I can see if I like to do something with them. In this case, it was about two people from Italy. On the cover you see here Carlo, and Carlo is photographed by Luciana, and on the back it is Luciana, and she's photographed by Carlo. But they always do this in as a very a thing that they always do, like he photographs her, she photographs him, purely out of practical reasons, and they put these things next to each other in their album. So here is the book. You see on the cover Carlo again, and on the back Luciana. And in the beginning when they met each other, they really it was still black and white. And they really photographed each other consequently next to each other in the same spot. Then they traveled, they married, they did honeymoon travels, and then they started to work. And they worked for 40 years. And in 40 years' time, they made no pictures. So there was a 40-year gap that these two people didn't make a picture. Only when they retired, then they started again. And then they went all over the world, and they really took consequently again a picture of each other in the same spot. Yeah, that is like also very, I mean, you see this quite often, that people take pictures of each other, but not in a way that there's a gap of 40 years. And in this case, I kind of pointed this out by having 40 white pages in the book. There was also an exhibition last year in Bologna, quite close to where they are born, and there you also see that it starts the exhibition with the black and white images, and there's also a large section of the museum completely covered with works that are not there. So there's just like white panels, and then another example also to show how I work. This is quite a large publication called Muddy Dance, and on the sticker it says like the art book for football fans or the football book for art lovers. It's not really sure what it is. And in the book there are images of an archive I found from English press photographs from soccer games from the 50s, and I was fascinated by them, by the movements that these players at that time had, and I edited the book almost as a choreography of dancing and them dancing, and then I did one thing to these images to make the dancing even more extreme or more enhanced, and that is a little bit the mystery of the book. So you really see that there is one thing that is missing. Maybe you guessed it already, but I kind of took away the ball. So in none of the images there is a ball, and because the ball is missing, your eye is disoriented, because normally your eye really goes first to this black irritating spot in the image, and then later when you remove it is you have to look where to look first, and often that's you look at the dancers, and here you for instance, here there's this goalkeeper with empty hands, and but here you see the original photographs. I normally don't show them, but here you see how dominant the ball is in the image, and so the exhibition is, because for instance in my case, and I will show a few more examples, like an exhibition is not for instance, not every book or not every work is an exhibition. Not every book you make is an exhibition, and not every exhibition is a book. So I think exhibitions are really, for me, something new to discover every time, and also a very nice challenge, because a book in the end, it's a paper publication, and but with an exhibition you can really kind of experiment. And in this case it was on a soccer field in Switzerland, and the players are kind of life size and on the field there, and so people can really kick in the exhibition. And another example of an exhibition I did, also in a different way, is this work is called in 24 Hours in Photos. And I'm always fascinated about the enormous amount of images that we live with. And I think that we see at the moment more images before lunch than somebody in the 18th century saw in their whole lifetime. And this is in this, I got like there was an occasion to make an exhibition about the future of the photography museum. This was in Amsterdam. And my idea was, maybe I can show physically with how many images we live every day online. And so what I did, I downloaded 24 hours of images from Flickr, which is this photo sharing site. There it's still possible to also download images. And I downloaded them on a disk, stopped it 24 hours later, and there were 950,000 images on the disk, which of course is not the complete production of 24 hours in photos online, because there's more platforms that show photographs. But in this case, it was just like a large amount of photographs that filled maybe 3 rooms in a museum, and you could really slide down the stairs, jump in the photographs, there's also a strange when you saw the installation. The first thing was very kind of really impressive how many images there were, but then people could walk in, and then people became very silent almost, because they walk over private lives, and you see with how many what kind of images people upload also nowadays. And so it went from public to almost private when you walked in. This was the same installation in a church. It's quite nice how you can play then with an existing surrounding. The priest was not so happy, but there were more visitors than ever in the church. But and the other thing is, then this is an installation in the MoMA, and you see that every time the work changes a little bit. Another exhibition I did, more curated work, but with together with Thomas Mailander, a friend of mine. We were asked in the photography festival to kind of do a site programming, and in this case we did like a pleasure palace, almost like a fun fair for photography. And there were maybe 7 attractions. I don't show them all, but one of the main attractions was this staircase you could climb onto. It's called Jump Trump, and then you could jump from a certain height in the fucker's face. So there were about 25,000 people that jumped on it in one weekend, and then I I think also what I do is kind of a visual archaeology. I accumulated in a way over since 1995 or something. I accumulated around 15,000 family albums, and I have them in a storage close by Amsterdam. And I really like to use this also. I mean, for me, it's not a collection, it's not an archive, it's just like an accumulation of these albums. And every time when I have an idea, I go in there fresh again. So I don't scan the images, I don't put them in certain categories because yeah, that in my case is also spoiling the way how to look at it. I mean, nowadays you see that also, yeah, like for instance, when you search for images online, they are already categorized. They are, I mean, in these analog albums, you can find certain beauties that you almost cannot label, or you cannot describe them when you scan them and you put them labeled in an archive. So I did this exhibition called Album Beauty, where I showed in a way the narrations of yeah, family albums, and also this object that we lived with for about 80 years. And but it was an exhibition where people could really touch things. They could walk over photographs. They could move the photographs that were standing on the wall. So also the curation would change a little bit over time, almost as if you go through a family album. And yeah, like yeah, in this case also, I mean, you see that on an average, people make about 7 or 8 albums in a lifetime, or they made that. And mostly the first album is like two people going on holiday together. Um, yeah, they're very much in love. They take pictures of each other very close up. The second album is mostly the marriage, and the third album and the fourth and even the fifth one sometimes is always the album with the first baby. So the first baby is really almost yeah, like completely or really overly photographed. And yeah, the second, the third baby, and sometimes the fourth one, they are in album 6 and 7 put together in between holidays and sports events. But the first baby is really like very big. Yeah, when people don't like babies, they go for albums with their dogs or with their cats. This is a French family who has like a huge amount of albums with their pets. And when people don't like dogs and they can't have babies, or they don't like babies, then they even they sometimes make a huge album, complete album with their car. And yeah, on these albums you always see where they come from, even without knowing. I mean, this is really a Swiss album because they used all these crayon lines to make the captions look very straight. This is an American album where they have these plastic sheets, and yeah, in the beginning it still sticks, but after a few years it gets dry, and then all the photographs, they fall out. It's a bit more of a chaos. And yeah, most of these albums are very boring. They are really, there's nothing really interesting in them. And almost 90% of all the albums are boring, but that's also interesting to look at. I mean, it's about certain behavior that people have with in photographs. And these are two people, two friends going on holiday in Ibiza. They were probably, it was probably they were bored out of their head. I don't know what happened, but they took constantly pictures of each other. This is also kind of a hobby. It's a husband who photographs his wife with a blue umbrella always. Yeah, and in the albums you find a lot of spots and broken images and spots on images, and they still put them in albums. This is put in an album just like that. Or there's cracks on images, there's overexposed images, there's of course the big finger fuck up, the attack of the giant finger in your image, and you see that also all over in all times. And then there's like the maybe even more classic, the camera strap in front of the lens. So yeah, somebody forgets to put the camera strap out of the lens, and the whole day this camera strap is there. and yeah, or at least the whole day on the whole roll of film. And yeah, then there is something quite brutal also, that these are family members that are not wanted anymore. So they are cut out of the image, and then the image is often put back into the album again. And it's just a brutal statement of people that are not wanted anymore. And I think one of my most favorite ones is the next one. This is a woman who got divorced, and she cut herself out of her wedding photograph. But there was a little compromise because her own arm was behind the arm of her husband, or her ex-husband, and then she had to leave a part of the husband still on there. Then she stuck that on a piece of paper, and then she put that back into the album again. Also, when I was looking at these photographs of albums, I found another phenomenon, and that's like that men who with analog photography mostly had the camera, because I also asked my mother why didn't my father always took the pictures, and then she said, like, yeah, when we went on holiday, I just gave him the camera because he was so stressed out from work that he just at least could fiddle a little bit with it, and then he would calm down, and then it was really the man had the camera. Luckily that changed now, but for many years. But the man photographs often his wife in nature, and it's kind of weird to look at. Why is she put in nature? I mean, here it's a German woman in nature. Here also you see a lot of nature here, but the woman is almost put through the side of the image, like go a little bit to the right, a bit more, so I can photograph this beautiful hedge. Sometimes the woman is a bit overweight, so she maybe has to stand behind the nature. But it's just like nice to look at these things and to believe almost, maybe it's totally not true, that men always photograph their beloved ones in the nature. Yeah, and also here, I found this picture in Singapore. A few weeks later, I found this picture in Germany. Like weird, and it's beautiful how women are almost in nature. And yeah, here, for instance, the woman on the right, I was very happy to find another one. But then on the left, there was suddenly a bonus. There's a second woman standing, almost camouflaged, more camouflaged in nature. Here as well. This is also, I think, beautiful image. And this is like two South Korean women wearing an orange tree. And this was the exhibition I did in Germany. Also, very interesting to use like real flowers and plants in a museum, which is normally not really allowed, but these plants were completely incubated in plastic for their life, and so that was possible. There were no pesticides in there, and this was 6 meters high, 4 by 8 meters wide, and like a bassin with flowers, with almost like a botanical garden. There's sticks in there with on the sticks the images on two sides. And some other things to show, like also how you can look at things. This is a recent book called The Pictorial History of the Empty Chair, and here it is also a phenomenon that I found out, that on many photographs there's always an empty chair, and strange to look at, even when strange to discover, because even when there's a lot of people on the image, there's always an empty chair. And this looks kind of dramatic, but of course it's the chair of the photographer. So he or she steps out of the image and then takes the photograph, and one chair is empty. And so in this case, it's more a fictive history of the empty chair. But then, in the end, it goes from black and white and from 1800 till now. When you acquire the book, it's quite an expensive book, but then you get like a free chair with it. and it's actually then quite a cheap chair. But yeah, I like to have these two things together, because yeah, this is a chair where that you can put in your house for, you know, more like a talking piece of somebody that waiting for somebody that was maybe still needs to come, or for someone that was once there. But the book is also underneath the chair, and yeah, you keep the two things together. Yeah, in this case, I also didn't know when I was making the book. Yeah, at one point after the book was finished, I thought like, yeah, why not make a real empty chair? And yeah, this. Yeah, here you see also photographs of the chair of people that bought it, and the chair that's in their house. It's always nice when they send it to me, and yeah, many people have an empty chair in their house. Yeah, and then the latest book I did, it's like a 2-month old now. It's called Incomplete Encyclopedia of Touch. Similar also because it's almost like a discovery that people always have the need, almost have the need to touch something when they are on a photograph. So they touch a pole, a car, a curtain, plants, but yeah, also cars are touched many times. And yeah, it's really a strange behavior, like large objects that people touch when they are in front of it, and cakes, trees, boats, plants, and flowers, and yeah, it's really. I mean, in the beginning there were several categories that people touched, but at one point it got more and more. And yeah, in the book there's this kind of overview of alphabetically of all the things that people touch, and the book has not 500 pages. So I show you some of my favorite categories. This is the pole. There's tennis nets, which is also quite nice, especially when you put them next to each other like this. And yeah, there's gravestones, really weird. People touch gravestones. And flowers and plants. I mean, you're not really allowed to touch these cactuses, but a lot of people do that, and it's really universal to touch a cactus. Yeah, and then also this one I really like, the curtains. Yeah, and this is the exhibition I did last year in Italy, in a kind of a palazzo, in a castle. And yeah, here it's like many of the objects that people touch in the book that I have like combined all together, reunited in one room. So it's really weird to have like a tennis net, and next to the tennis net is the grave and the door. And there's no text in the exhibition. The only captions that are there are the photographs that stand in front of the object. So you have a little bit of an instruction what to touch and how to visit the exhibition. Yeah, then I like to show more some really personal projects, because in a way I work always with other people's photographs, but sometimes the photographs are also very close to me. So, for instance, this is a work about my father. And my father, he collected and restored these Fiat Topolinos, which is an Italian car. And he was busy with the fifth car, but he really couldn't finish it. So because he got like a stroke and a bleeding in the brain, and he was in intensive care in hospital for a long time. And at that time, I had the opportunity to make an exhibition in Italy. So at one point I thought like maybe, yeah, we combine our passions. So I looked at his photographs. This is a photograph that he took, and I look at more photographs of him that he took of the progression of the restoration. And this is like the bottom of the car photographed in the snow, so he could make he could have a clear view of it. These are the spray painted parts that came back from the painter. And yeah, also, and this is an image that he took and he put them in albums or on CDs and in hard disks they were. So here's the steering wheel that he also restored with wood. And yeah, you would see every day this kind of, or every day you would see week by week, you would see the progression of the restoration of the steering wheel. And then I brought my idea was to show this as an unfinished exhibition. And I brought the car plus all these images to Italy, in Reggio Emilia. This is an old synagogue. And here you see that I decided also to have the photographs on the floor. And in this case, I did that because, it becomes a very fragile exhibition. If you want to walk through, you have to be very careful. And this was exactly the purpose of doing it like that. And it was a beautiful location. This was like 30 meters high. It was an unbelievable spot. And so I mean, in the end, this exhibition became quite popular. It was nominated for the Deutsche Börse Photography Prize. So this is the car in London where they try to get it into the museum because it's can't go through the front door. And in a way, what happened after was that my father hardly had any chance to survive this stroke, but in the end he did. He recovered completely, and he got back home, and he got even his driver's license back again. And at that time he was saying like, where the fuck is my car? Because I want my car back. I want to finish it. So, but the car was touring as an exhibition at that time. So that's a little bit of a thing between us. But at the moment he's fine with it. And I mean, the car has traveled several times in Europe. And another work that I did is in a way completely opposite to the 24 hours in photos. And this is really about a possible story behind one single image. So I took this image and I, in a festival in Poland, I showed it everywhere in the city. For 2 weeks, there was this image everywhere without any caption, without saying what image this was, what the story behind this image was. So people could really, work with this image, and they were very curious. Like after 2-3 weeks, like what is it? And in the end, it was shown in a museum, and in the museum, I just explained the story behind this. Because this is actually the last picture of my sister. When I was 11 years old, my sister was 9, and she died in front of the eyes of my mother while crossing the street, and somebody drove through red lights and just killed her. And my parents were really looking for the last image of her. And this is a holiday picture that was in color, and the whole family was on there, but then my parents cropped it and they made it black and white, and then they printed it again, enlarged it, and hang it in their living room. So this is an image which is for a few people in the world very important, and it has a certain story. But for me it was also a really early now I sometimes think like that has also had an influence, because this was really an early reappropriation that I saw, because my parents cropped the image, they repurposed it for something else, almost like a monumental image. And this I wanted to show like that, also to prove that every single image has also like can have like quite a strong story. Yeah, then something more light, but yeah, you see that I'll pretty much into imperfection. So I did this pocket book more about tips, like how you can enhance your creativity by making mistakes and by really going in wrong directions. I mean, you should not do this as a doctor or as a taxi driver, but as a creative, it's very good to go in wrong directions and to make a lot of mistakes and deliberate mistakes. So, I mean, really, that you have to force yourself to make mistakes, because nowadays that's very complicated to do that. Because we live with all the equipment for creativity and for the cameras we use and the programs we use, they're all pushed for total perfection. So I'm really into also documenting these kind of imperfections that I see, and sometimes even in the kitchen you see like this kind of weird imperfection, and I get like a great inspiration from that. Sometimes it's a huge fuck up like this, but I think that a billboard like this has more recognition than when it would be posted the right way around. Yeah, like strange things like parking spots, like more parkings. This one is also really ridiculous. And you find also very painful images, like this is done by a furniture designer or like a children's playground designer. And you see that they sometimes don't like children, because this can be quite a painful thing to play in. Yeah, this is on the graveyard in Amsterdam. You see that people put like a garbage bin next to the grave, but then it has a strange similar visual reference to the grave, which is unintentional, but it's kind of a mistake. Then like this one is an easy one, but it's there's a real clear sign how to kind of write it in the sign that's in front of you. Balconies, of course, there's also a lot of like disabled toilets. They block them or they use them as storage for chairs. But they don't want anyone to come in there. But in normal toilets, they have as many people as possible. There's no privacy anymore. They want to have a lot of people in there. And look at this. Who designed this? I mean, it's like ridiculous. Like here, another disabled toilet with a huge distance between the toilet and the handle that you have to use to get off the toilet. Small additions to open and close the door. This one is really clean until now, but it will be probably very messy soon. And the next one is really my favorite. It's really a really sustainable design where somebody thought about everything. You can wash your hands, you can wash other things, you can, it's completely a circular system. There's a little towel to clean everything off. Fantastic. I love this image, really. Yeah, then there's we come to the shit part of the exhibit of the lecture. I mean, I made a work called Shit, and believe it or not, I found a picture online of a Nazi taking a shit, like a German soldier taking a shit during the Second World War, taken by another fellow soldier. And as you can see in the image, and then I started to think like, wait a minute, maybe there's more images of Nazis taking a shit. And I found in 3 months time, I found maybe 80 of them. And I found them on eBay, and sometimes negatives, sometimes positives. People would offer them as single images. And it's really disgusting, but also like ironic, of course. And it's a very small but dirty part of the history. And I also did an exhibition here where this was first shown in Bolzano, which is a city north in Italy where they speak German. And here it's in a museum, and there's a white cube that I made into like a box that I made into the museum. So there's a double door that you have to go through, and you end up in this tunnel. You have to open the door, and there's just a very normal white cube with very beautifully framed the images. But when you are in, you feel that there's an enormous smell of shit in there, and it's unbearable, the smell. And then you really have to run out and really, that's the end of it then. But it shows also that with exhibitions you can do something different. Also, you can use another sense, and you can, But in this case, I need to make a perfect, beautiful white cube with perfectly, beautifully framed and printed images, and then the smell is even more disturbing in a way. Then I think this is kind of something I should not really show, but it's like very silly. Like it's also very good to make a lot of things and keep making a lot of stuff. And I did this record called Snoring, and I was sleeping next to a friend of mine in a hotel, and he was like really snoring the whole night. I couldn't wake him up because he was a bit drunk, but he kept on snoring. So in the end, I decided just to record him. And as a sweet revenge, I printed 300 records, which I sent him one. And in the end, I had 299 left. But still people buy it. Some people like a record of somebody snoring. It takes 20 minutes, but let's go on. The last part, I'd like to show a few more of these in almost every picture books, but it has also to do with my adoration almost for how amateurs think. And this is something that I completely, I'm obsessed with, how beautiful and naive in a positive way they sometimes make things. And I kind of, find them, reappropriate them, and make works out of them. Sometimes with the people, and sometimes they are anonymous and unfindable. And so these are all 19 books. This one was I think number 7, and no, number. I don't even know even myself anymore. But it is a rabbit from Japan, and the owner, photographer, and like an amateur photographer, but he found out that Oolong, that's the name of the rabbit, could balance everything on his head, and every day he would post like a something on the head of Oolong, and showing that it was a fantastic balancer. This was very nice. I followed this for many years, and every day it was a very nice start of the day when I would visit the website and see another image of Oolong balancing with something on the head. Until one day Oolong was not really well, and he was sick. And in the next few days after, you could follow his illness. And this was kind of a tragical image. I thought this was the last one, but the next day I went again to the website, and I saw that this was the last image that the photographer made. And another edition is number 7. Is this? This is about Ria, and Ria is the woman in the image here with the gun. And I don't know if you have this, if you know this phenomenon, but Ria, when she was 16 years old, she started to shoot in a shooting gallery, and this was in 1936. And when you shoot with your gun and you hit the bullseye, it's the shutter of a camera behind the shooting gallery, and so it takes a selfie. It takes in this case a photograph and a negative of you shooting and hitting the bullseye. So Ria did this in 1936, and she did it every year after. And it's beautiful. I heard about her, and went to visit her and really asked if I could use these photographs. She was living in an elderly home. She was already 94 at that time, but she had shot every year of her life a picture. And you see the whole history of photography. Here it's like instant Polaroids, of course. And yeah, it was beautiful. Here the book is finished. I go and bring it to her. And later I also traveled with her quite a lot because the work was exhibited quite a lot. And in the end, yeah, here she wants to bring a gun always to the exhibition, but I told her that it's not so smart. But sometimes they let her travel with it. It's like a plastic gun. And yeah, then they also called her the woman who shoots herself. Then I negotiated for her because the Museum of Modern Art in Amsterdam, they bought the original. They wanted to buy the originals from her, the Polaroids. And in the end, they did for quite a lot of money. And Ria was really spending all the money in a few years' time. She did the whole bus trip with the elderly home. She invited me for several dinners with a lot of friends, and she always paid. So she burned really the money in a few years' time. And yeah, this is 2016. I'm here to support the gun a little bit on the left. Yeah, and in 2020 she was 100 years old. The only thing was that yeah, she was it was exactly the time of COVID, so there was no shooting, there was no funfair in that town. So yeah, then I decided to have like the real shooting gallery booth in the backyard of the elderly home. And yeah, that's here. And she shot for her 100th birthday. Also on my Instagram, I posted her postal address. So she got like enormous amount of cards. And yeah, here on one it says, "Holy shit, you did it." And then a year later in 2021, she died. And yeah, 101 year old. Yeah, then last two. But I mean, in a way, with Ria, it also shows that I really like it. In some cases, I'm involving with the people also, and yeah, with Ria, I had a really special relationship. This is something I don't know the owners of or the origin of these photographs, other than that they are found in Budapest, and these are about 50 pictures with always the same man on there, but probably his wife at that time or girlfriend found all the pictures with the ex-girlfriends, because you can see that when you look very closely, there's like mostly yeah, always a female standing next to him. And yeah, she really it's really an act of jealousy, and sometimes she almost ruined the small print, but because they were very, very small prints. But mostly she did it very precise, and she left him intact. But yeah, the person next to him is completely gone. Also in yeah, like in the water even, but really like a hairy animal she made out of it. And yeah, in this case, when you find a collection like this, yeah, the book is already done. There's not so much a narration. It's more the fact that this was a beautiful intervention on the photographs, and yeah, sometimes I really like a work of art. The last book I'm showing, or the work I'm showing, is about this couple. It's almost the same like the first one I showed from Barcelona, but this is a couple from America, and the photographer is called Fred, and his wife is called Valerie. And I found these images also on Flickr, and I approached them if I could work with these images. And yeah, so this is like. Yeah, Fred is really, as a photographer, interested in photographing his wife in water. And in the beginning, he did that. She had like a bathing suit on, but then she started to keep her clothing on. And here you see already that the clothing is a little bit wet. And they go to really different locations. Really, for them, it's like a wet cloth adventure. It's really something they do every day. It's beautiful. Yeah, for them it's like a fetish, of course. And here they go at night into the fountain. Fred uses the flash. When it rains, fantastic for them. The more rain, the better. And in their garden, in the lake in front of their house, yeah, like a swimming pool for the summer, for the winter. I mean, really beautiful pictures, almost like a new version of Ophelia. This, and so when I made the book, I asked them to. I made the first few copies on plastic paper, and I forgot to tell them, by the way, but that's quite stupid. But I sent them the book, and I asked them if they could take pictures with Valerie with the book in the water. So that was my kind of dream for more image to promote the book. And yeah, Fred sent me this image. He said this email, and he said like, "Hello, Erik. I've sent a dozen of photos from our afternoon book swim. I hope they meet what is needed for publicity photos. I have Photoshop touched them up for good presentations. I shot well over 100 views, and these are the best. The shoot went well. We were both in the mood. There was a light overcast as hoped for, with no harsh shadows. Valerie wanted to know if the book was really to go into the water. I said yes. The book slipped down into the water a little bit at a time, Valerie taking it and herself in deeper as the photos progressed. Eventually, it was fully under. We enjoyed the tantalizing intrigue of it. It was a very erotic email, but after the photo sequence, we both swam with the book, looking again at each picture. The water was not seeming to have any effect on it. We must have enjoyed 2 hours in the water with it. I rinsed it off in the house, dried off each page, placed paper towels between each page. The book seems to have withstood the lengthy adventure just fine. Love the whole business, Fred and Valerie. Yeah, these were the images that he sent, some of them. This was my favorite. Really, she's almost like baptizing the book with her glasses on, the reading glasses. Beautiful. And yeah, then I was invited to make an exhibition in this is in the Lake of Geneva, in a city, in an art festival. And yeah, like this is Valerie floating 10 by 15 meters in there. Fred and Valerie, by the way, were also invited, but they couldn't come because they had another shoot going on. They mailed, and yeah, here you see them. Yeah, you see Valerie all over the town. I even did like in a fountain, like in a bassin. I used their fountain pictures, very large, and yeah, then I thought it was finished, this story, but then soon after I found this image on the right, which is like a model, of course, of Stella McCartney fashion company photograph, and they completely robbed or copied the image of the cover of the book. So I sent these two images next to each other, and there were more images of people in the water that they used. And I sent them to Fred and Valerie. And this is also maybe nice to finish because I thought like they are angry, but I was of course a misperception, but they are complete amateurs. You know, they are very into this. So the Fred mailed me back and he said, "We see the Stella photos. She does look a bit starched, not enjoying the adventure. You know, so." She's really like looking not good for him. Sort of makes one wonder why she would be doing it to start with. And in the end, he concluded by saying, I would hope she would get satisfaction in eventually taking the whole outfit under. So yeah, for me, that is really sums it up that that also with stories, with photography, with narration, with documentary photography, it's really yeah, like there's always a new story and there's always a new surprise. It's never that is never ending, and that's what still fascinates me every day. Thank you very much.